Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we talk about what if Deku, not Deku, I meant Bell. I meant Bell was from Terraria. So in the last video we talked about how after Bell was, captured by, Aisha was brought to, to the, to the, to the, Ishtar Familia for, let's just say, oh, I don't know, maybe like 3 goddesses are currently trying to find them and are also currently planning on basically bringing them back. So they're currently, training a lot, and I mean training a lot of their, familiar members, kind of, I mean, for, her, aka, not Aphysis, I meant, Hestia, because she has two members, well, they're currently trading, and let's just say they're still overpowered, but they're still, maybe like, consider it as like, maybe like level 9-ish, yeah. So, currently with Bell has been captured by the, by the Ishtar Familia, and was currently, being brought to where, she is currently wearing, a girlish, like, a girly ass dress, so nobody can, unconsensually, frick him. Let's just say that. So, after, bringing him to where, Ishtar currently is, after, a bit of bickering and also talking to her, she would basically force him to do some horrible things to, satisfy her, to say the least. So, after bringing him to his, like, bringing him to his, like, bringing him to her bedchambers, he would be forced to sleep with her none that way, and so would basically fall asleep. As for the rest of the, I guess you could say the 3 goddess lions, specifically, Aphysis, Freya, which obviously makes sense because, still yandere-ish for Belle, but not as much because she doesn't want to, capture him, sort of. And finally, Hestia. So, as they're finally finishing up their plans, you would start moving towards where, where the, Ishtar Familia currently resides. So yeah, that is basically an explanation about what happened last episode, and it's quite short. I mean, it makes sense after all. I still have to do some prelim exams. More specifically, I have to redo it all over again because apparently I failed. Sort of. Goddamn math. Anyway, so, let's talk about what happens next. So, as Izuku is currently still, we basically ended, like, it's currently, like, straight after what happened last episode. So, he's currently still sleeping with, Ishtar, as Ishtar would say this. You're absolutely warm, Belle. I never expected you to be this warm, she would say, as Belle would say this. Yeah, I can't believe you're that, as you would start feeling all of her assets, to say the least. Oh boy. So, as Belle is basically filling her up, not that way, as Belle is currently, pretty much stiff at this point. So, as Belle is currently stiff right now, Belle would start to hear these sounds of fire. After hearing this, Belle would basically shut up, including Ishtar. As Ishtar would basically hear this, she would say, "What the hell is happening?" As Belle would say this, "I don't know, I swear," as she would say this. It seems that they finally tried to strike. Anyway, so, come with me. As Belle would say this, why? As she would say, "Follow me," or should I say just, as she would basically grab something from her desk and would almost cut Belle, but thankfully he dodged out of the way thanks to his reflexes. As Belle would say this, "Okay, fine," as he would start to follow her. So, after following her towards a little area, more specifically a large-looking altar, she would say, "Now, we should be leaving right about as a few members of, the Ishtar Familia would arrive. Except for the frog-eyed girl. I think her name was Reina. Or at least I think so. Anyway, as they're there, not Izuku, I meant as Belle would look over and would see Aisha, as you'd say, "Great, her." As Aisha would look towards him, as she would say this. So, Miss Ishtar, as Ishtar would say this. "Yes, Aisha," as she would say this. Seems that we're being attacked by the Hephaestus, Hestia, and the Freya Familia. As she would say this. Well, shit, she would say. As Belle would think, oh, thank God they're here. Wait, why is the Freya Familia here exactly? He would start to think in his mind. As Belle would basically remove that thought from his mind. As you say, anyway, what are we supposed to do? He would basically start to think. As you would think, maybe we can. As you would start to think of an idea for him to try and escape. As while he was thinking this, a few of the, Ishtar members are currently talking to Ishtar, as a member from the Three Goddess Alliance, in this case, Whelp, which, instead of being a part of the, Hestia Familia, he decides to, still, sort of, work with, Hephaestus. So, as he jumps down, he would basically, wield a titanium sword. After, slicing one of their limbs off, he would say, "Hey, you!" As Belle would look over and say, "Wait," to her, as a few of the, Ishtar members would say this, "Get away from him!" As some of them would basically wield up their weapons, mostly spears and other such weapons. And unfortunately, they aren't from, Terraria, so, yeah, let's just say, I meant Whelp, would basically, beat them in an instant. As Belle would say this, who are you? As you'd say this, I'm one of the members of the Hephaestus Familia, and I'm here to save you. As Belle would say this, oh, thank God. As Belle would basically grab him by his hand as he would start to run away. But before he can actually run away, one of them would basically, shoots an arrow at them. Thankfully, Belle would dodge, as she would say this. Unfortunately, you're not escaping, Belle Cornell. As Belle would say this. Oh, really? Wait for a second. So, after, that happens, he would start, look over and would see one of the, Ishtar Familia members wielding a bow, as she would basically say this. Unfortunately, he's not leaving. Mr. Whelp of the Hephaestus Familia, she would say, as Whelp would say this. Ugh. He would basically growl as he would grab something from his pocket. As, after grabbing this weapon, it would resemble a musket? Belle would just look at him as he would say, "Now, let's try this thing out." As he would fire it, as he would destroy her bow, including, the arrow that she was about to fire, as the debris would basically slam into her face, causing her to get sliced all over. As she'd say, "You!" As she would basically grab her sword, as she would just, as she would start to charge towards him, as Beth would basically sidestep her and would basically, cause her to fall. After doing this, Belle would say this. Well, he certainly is quite the skilled person, he would think in his mind. As one person would say this, specifically Ishtar. How annoying. Hey, as she would look over towards, what's her face? As she would look over towards, Aisha, as Aisha would say this. Yes, Miss Freya? As she would say this. Stop the damn dog. Immediately. I meant not the damn dog. I mean, sort of. I mean, he's sort of a dog to, Hephaestus, but not in that way. As she would say this. Fine. As she would grab her, brand new created, titanium sword, as she would start fighting against Whelp. Whelp would start fighting her as their blades would start to clash. Because the blades are from the same game, they would basically, be an equal match. As, Belle was seeing this, the sword slashes, the debris that's basically being created from their slashes are basically awesome to him. As Whelp would grab, Whelp would grab a, titanium, halberd. Or at least I think that's the name. Let me just check. I meant orichalcum, not titanium. So, as he would still be fighting, Aisha was basically getting the upper hand thanks to her, sword. Even though technically, orichalcum is superior to, titanium, but either way, they're still pretty much outmatched. Specifically, Bet. Not Bet, I meant Whelp. So, as Belle would see this, he would basically be grabbed by, by Ishtar, as Ishtar would say this. Oh no, you don't. I meant, oh no, you don't. I'm not letting you go. After all, I mean to defile you after all, as Belle would say this. Excuse me, what? As she would say, I'm gonna be defiling you, and making her fall into despair, she would say, as you'd say, don't you dare! And besides, I'm not letting you touch me or anything of the sort. And besides, I'm only letting, I'm letting only, and I mean only, Hephaestus do that to me. As she would say this, oh no, I'm not letting, I'm not doing this just because of that tomboyish goddess. As Bo would say this, then who? Ash would say this. Isn't that obvious? That bitch, that bitch Freya. She thinks that she's all powerful and all beautiful just because of her status. Makes me sick. Now, I'm gonna be defiling you and making my rival, that bitch, suffer and make her feel so much despair to the point that she would decide to kill herself. As Bao would say this, oh no you don't, I'm not letting you touch me. As, after saying this, she would say, oh, I will. As she would charge over there thanks to her, godly-like speed, as Bao would keep dodging her, even though he doesn't have the enhancements thanks to his, armor. So, after a while of dodging her, Bell would start looking at, his, little, debuff, which, that literally no longer allows him to basically use any of his weapons or anything of that sort. As would start counting down to, about 12 minutes to, 15 seconds. After seeing this, he would say, oh thank god, I just need 15 more minutes. 12 more minutes. So, as Belle is still pretty much dodging her, Ishtar would start grabbing chains which he'd gotten out of nowhere, and would start whipping them to try and, grab Belle by basically, Ghost Rider style, basically, grab him. Belle would still be dodging them, or at least dodging her, as we go to a different perspective. Currently with the Three Goddess Alliance. The Three Goddess Alliance and her, and all of their familias are currently burning down the entire city. Currently with the other, other members of the Ishtar Familia, they're currently panting and saying, we don't know what to do. Basically burning our entire land. As one of them would say this, look over there, as you would see a girl cloaked in darkness. Just imagine, a Son of Serenity's clothing, but except she's actually wearing, the top half is, or at least, the cloak is basically similar to, to Hassan of the Cursed Arm. As after, she looks towards her, she would say this, you have tried to hurt my familia, and tried to even capture my, my Oni-chan, she would basically say. I can't believe I had to say that. So, as she would say this, now, you're gonna pay for that. As she would grab the Pwn Hammer in one hand, and her other hand was the Thorn Chakram. As she throws it at supersonic speeds, as the Thorn Chakram would basically start bouncing all over the walls, and would start slashing them. As when it returns back to her, she would use the hammer and would basically slam it into the Thorn Chakram again, causing it to go even faster. She would do it multiple times, causing some of the Familia members to basically pass out from, sort of blood loss. So after doing this, she would say, that's what you get for hurting my, and even, getting my Oni-chan to basically, be forced to be with her, she would basically say. And besides, wait for a second. Miss Hephaestus is a little bit more better than you. After saying this, she would look over and would see a few other, Ishtar Familia members currently running towards, where several fires are currently, being set by other Familia members of the Three Goddess Alliance. As she would say, more targets. She would say, as she would grab her, Pwn Hammer, as she would start, going off at supersonic speeds. As for Vitas is currently, literally making a gigantic-ass monster made of wood. This wood monster, or wood golem, is being controlled by her. Just imagine her, all of her limbs are basically stuck together, as she's moving them almost like a robot. Yeah, that's basically what it is. As she would basically start causing a lot of trouble for, some of the members, because she's basically a walking, devastating machine. as several members of, random familias, like for example, the, Hephaestus and also the, Freya familia are currently on the Roach's shoulders, and they're currently, walking around shooting out arrows and other types of projectiles. Currently with other members of the, Three Goddess Alliance. The, a few members of the, Ishtar, not Ishtar, but Freya, and also, sort of, sort of the, or at least some of the, members of the, Hephaestus Familia are currently fighting against the Freya Familia members. They're currently being beaten because they never got the weapons that, Bel created, or at least co-created, thanks to the help of, Hephaestus. So, after a while of fighting, Hephaestus would basically stop, I should say, alright men, or in this case, some of you women, as all of them would basically, just, stand by, as she would say this. Now, I want you to go to that tower and catch your bell. I want my bell back, okay? She would say, as all of them would agree, and so would start to leave. As she would look over towards the tower, as she would say, Belle, I hope you're okay, she would say. So, currently with, Belle and also, Ishtar still trying to capture him. It's about, a few minutes, as Belle is currently, at the home stretch. 13 seconds, he would say, as he would start counting down to 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, as Belle is still pretty much dodging, as he would say, come on, make it faster, he would basically say, as Belle would just, grab, like, a random weapon nearby, thanks to the help of, one member being, knocked out. Belle would basically grab a simple sword and would basically start blocking her attacks, thanks to it. Belle would basically slice one of the chains off, as, she would say this. Don't be so hard, Belle. And besides, I'll lighten your punishment after all. When I do get you, she would say. As Belle would say this. I swear to God, I do not like you. As she would say this. So, you're basically saying that you don't like me. How? How much of a liar are you? As Belle would say this. What do you mean by that? I'm telling you the truth, and Ash should say this. Oh, don't you lie. Besides, I know that you obviously like me just because of my voluptuous body and my wonderful personality, as Belle would think in his mind. Like hell! He would basically say this in his mind, as Belle would basically move out of the way from one of the chains that was about to, slam into him. As Belle would basically, look over and would see his pet harpy. As Belle would say this, Sarah! As Sarah would basically look back at, Belle, as she would basically be perched on Belle's shoulder. As she would say this, what is that? As Belle would say this, this is my pet harpy. Now, Sarah, show them why you're pretty strong, just because of your, not because of your size or anything of that sort. And show them why you're the strongest out of our, familia. Sort of, he would say. As she would, as Sarah would basically fly off, Sarah would start, creating little beams of light from her feathers. These beams of light almost resemble, Yuki Ora's, a special Sero. Just imagine, like, a black Sero made from, and the outline is basically, a neon green. That's basically what it is. As you would charge towards, her, aka, wait for a second, look towards, Sarah, as Sarah would start, shooting out the beams that resemble, Yuki Ora's blast. After seeing this, she would start moving out of the way, as all of her chains were basically disintegrated, almost turning into, sawdust, or in this case, metal dust. As she would say, what the hell are those? As Belle would say this, yeah, as you would remember back in the day, he sort of accidentally, not really accidentally, but more like, let's just say he was a programmer back in his old life, sort of. I mean, he was a salaryman, so, Belle would, back in his old life, would sort of, because of his programming nature, well, he decided to make his own mod for, for Terraria. In this case, a bleach mod. Yeah. Yeah, the reason why I decided to make, um, make one of the options for, for Bell's, not Bell, I meant Izuku's, um, you know, one of Izuku's, like, powers for the, what if Deku was, in the high school XD, like, you basically get it, in high school DxD, is because, I love the Tennispada, especially the whole concept of hollows. Mostly because I'm an edgy boy and not because of, Barney Bell. What did I just say? Anyway, continuing on with the video. So, as, Bell is, was basically, going around the internet, he would decide to make a, bleach ass, a bleach anime based on, not really bleach anime, I meant a bleach, mod for Terraria, and so would create that. And one of the mods was basically a hollow that resembles a harpy. And so that was basically created. This. This is supposed to be based off a hollow. Yeah. So, as Bell would basically tell, Sarah to keep firing off these ceros, I guess you could say. I'm just gonna be calling them, cero animo. Because, animo is Latin for air or wind or something. I can't remember, but it's basically Latin for, air or wind. So, as these air like blasts would basically charge towards her, she would keep dodging them as she would say, ugh, how annoying. She would basically say, as she would look over and would see, the rest of her familiar members, as she would say, go and take down that beast and try to capture Bell immediately. As all of them would agree and would so, charge towards Bell. As Bell would say, would basically see his timer on his, debuff, as you would say, come on, 3, 2, as one of the members would charge towards him as, the wielder of a large sword, more specifically, like a, a large-ass odachi, which is basically, a large-ass katana, like, similar to a broadsword, but a, a katana. So, as you would charge over there, she would say, I meant she, yeah, a she, I meant, she, not he, but she would say, alright, I would not let you escape. As the timer would finally run out, as Bell would say this, finally, as he would basically grab something from his Get a Babylon style, weapon, like his Get a Babylon style, like, dimensional portal, and would grab a Terra Prisma. As after grabbing the Terra Prisma, he would basically command it to, create many, and I mean many swords. Just imagine, that certain scene in Fate, Stay Night. More specifically, Fate Stay Night, something. Yeah, the Rin route, or I'm just gonna be calling Best Girl route. Actually, no. You can't tell me otherwise, Rin is good, but hot take. Saber is much better. I mean, it's not really a hot take, but, either Rin, Saber, aka, Artoria, or, Sakura. Like, it depends. And I'm not talking about Sakura for Naruto, she can go die. I'm just kidding. I mean, Sakura's a bit good in Naruto, but still, fangirl, bitch. Anyway, continue on with the episode. So, as Bell would basically create tons and tons of Terra Prisma swords, Bell would say this. Now, Blade Storm. As after saying that word, several, several of the swords would basically charge towards them as you would start slicing through them. More specifically, scarring them. As you would scream out in pain. As all of them would basically drop to the ground, as Bell would say this. Finally got my powers back. As Bell would basically grab something from his Gate of Babylon style, portal, as you would say, now, Blade Storm, double Tempest. After saying this, he would basically grab the Zenith and the Terra Prisma swords would basically start, charging towards, a little area between, him and also, her, aka, what's her face? Ishtar. As Ishtar would see this, she would say, what the? As these swords would basically collide. at the ground, causing her to basically fall. So, as the fall would happen, she would basically, fall to the ground, and so she would be gone, but she wouldn't be dead because there's no light or pillar of light. And so, as Bella does that, he would say this: "Hey, well, is it?" As she would say, he would say, "Yeah." As Bella would say this: "Come on, let's go." And so Belle and, Bump over there would start to leave, going back to where, the Hestia Familia is. And so, after leaving, we go to a different perspective. So, in this perspective, we go to, her, aka the Yandere-ish, goddess, aka Freya. As Freya is currently walking around, she would see a broken, like a broken part of the, of the Ishtar Familia household. As this thing is currently, this like little large debris is currently, over Ishtar when she's currently stuck. I should say, shit, why did this happen? She would say, as she would look over and see I meant Freya. I should say, you, what did you do? Why did you destroy my city? As she would say this, mind telling me why you almost tried to grab my bell? As she would say, your bell? He's supposed to be mine! And there's no way that I'm allowing you to touch him. And besides, he's better. Better than that Otar guy of yours. You usually just play with him most of the time. Then why take an interest with him? But before she could say anything else, Otar would say this: "Mistress, should I shut him up? I meant shut her up." As she would say this: "Sure, Otar. Do whatever you like." And so, Otar would come closer to her, as she would say, "Don't you dare, you damn..." But before she could say anything else, she was stabbed through the heart. And so, the Ishtar Familia was destroyed, and the Pillar of Light would appear, signifying that, Ishtar has been defeated. So the Ishtar Familia members were in shock, including Rada, which Rada was just like, "Oh no, our Familia, wait, oh yeah, I don't care." So, as she would start to leave, getting out of there, getting out of the large ass, area, we currently see, Ishtar, not Ishtar, I meant, her, aka, Freya, would say this to Otar: "Now, we should be leaving after all. This place is feeling a bit, disgusting in my eyes." As she would say this, I meant he: "Yes, mistress." And so, they would start to leave. As for Belle, he would be brought back to, his, Familia, aka the, Hestia Familia. But he's currently knocked out because he used his power, like, in a not so very long time. So, after, that, all of them would basically start to leave, going back home to where, where their Familia is, aka Aurario. And so, I'm gonna be ending this episode right off here because, studies, things of that sort. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!